late. We're doing it late today. So how y'all doing today? How's everybody doing? How's everything going? How was your Shabbat? I just got in home today. Um, I got home about 12 o'clock today. So I was about 4 hours away, and I got in late. I took a shower, got something to eat, took a nap. Here we are. And they want me to get up and go tomorrow as well, but we'll see how that goes. But let's get into the message for today. Um first thing I want to talk about is the feast. So we are coming up on the Feast of Trumpets, Atonement, as well as Tabernacles and Eighth Day. Okay, so October is a very, very busy time of the year for feasts and festivals, and we're gonna we're gonna be rocking them. We have trumpets on October 2nd and the 3rd. The night of the 2nd, the evening once the sun goes down on the 2nd until the sun goes down on the 3rd, it's going to be trumpets. Then we have Day of Atonement. That's going to be the night of the 11th, the evening of the 11th until the evening of the 12th. Okay. And then you have Tabernacles, which is going to be the evening of the 16th all the way to the 23rd. Okay. When the sun's down. And then we have Eighth Day, that is on the evening of the 23rd to the 24th, evening of the 24th. So we have a lot going on in October. All of these days, like the first day, trumpets, you're not supposed to work. Atonement, you're not supposed to work. Then you have the first day and the last day. Well, the first day of Tabernacles, and then of course the last day is going to be Eighth Day, and you do not work on Eighth Day. So those are the days that we're going to be doing it, and I hope you guys come along and do it with us. Then, okay. Let's see what else. I think that's it. I'll try to get into the reading. Whenever more people jump on and start talking, we'll talk and spend a little time. Say, hey, how y'all doing? And we'll move right along. Okay. So in Matthew, we've been rolling in Matthew. Jay, yes, sir. How you doing? How's your Shabbat? How's everything going with you today? We've been rolling in the book of Matthew as well, and we're in chapter 19 now, and we've just kind of been allowing the Holy Spirit to just give us what she, gets out of it. What's all about my content? Okay, my content. I'm from Poland. Okay, so we're believers in Yahweh, and some call us. Oh, okay. Okay, Carolyn Brown. I'm gonna get to you in just a second. So we are not Catholic. We are Hebrew Israelites. Some call us Christian Hebrew Israelites. Some call us Sabbath keeper Christians. There's a lot of different names that we're called. But the main things is that we believe in Jesus Christ. We believe in Yeshua HaMashiach, and we keep the commandments, Yahweh's commandments. So we align ourselves with the end time people of promise, the end time remnant, and that's how we roll. All right, Ms. Carolyn Brown, let's say. It says, don't work any days or which days? Again, sorry, just come in. Okay, so trumpets is on October, the evening of October the 2nd to the 3rd. And we do not work that day. That is a regular. And I'm not sure if I don't have my calendar up. I'm not sure if these days are going to line up exactly with the Shabbat. And I know some people like to align them with the Shabbat because most people are already off on the Shabbat. So it makes it so much easier to just go ahead and align those days with the closest Shabbat. It, when it comes to jobs, because most jobs will say, okay, we'll allow you to have the Shabbat off, but you're not going to be able to take like Wednesday and Thursday and all these other days off, kind of in the week. A lot of jobs, they don't really like that. So some people will line them with the Shabbat because you already don't work and you already have off at most jobs. Okay, so October, the evening of the 2nd to the 3rd, we do not work that day. October 11th in the evening to the 12th, we don't work that day. The very first day of tabernacles, you don't work. So that's going to be the evening of the 16th. We do not work that day. And then, of course, the 8th day, we do not work. The thing about like atonement is a fast day. It is everybody fast that day. So no one eats on that day. So it's going to be, you're supposed to afflict your soul. And anytime the Bible says afflict your soul, it really means to fast. It's a fast. Right. So, and I'm sure you already know that. But.
Yeah. And it also, when it comes to atonement, it's a reflection. You are reflecting on the sins, and you are making it known to Yah that, because at the end of the day, none of us are really, we're trying. Every single person is trying to be perfected in the faith. And so that day is a reflection of your heart towards Yah to let him know that, you recognize that there are some things that you are still sinning about, even things that we don't know that we're really sinning about. And so you are sorrowful. And even in some scriptures, it says, those are the days that you put on sackcloth. Okay. Sackcloth meaning you are mourning, you are sad, you're heartbroken because you want to be perfected. You want to do everything in perfect sync with Yah. But we live in a fallen world, and sometimes, those things kind of clash. Okay.
Right. So it's almost like a rededication of your life to Yahweh.
Right.
Which is, and I'm like, we may do it. I think that's a great idea to actually like make some sackcloth and actually put sackcloth on under our clothes. It's supposed to be itchy and it's supposed to be uncomfortable because it's supposed to remind us that our sins or that's how they feel to Yah. Okay. So it's really a day of just, like she said, getting on our face before Yah, acknowledging what we have fallen short, asking for, of course, forgiveness, as well as where to be led in the future. So that's kind of how that goes. So do you plan on doing them? And we'll probably show how we do it. We've been doing a little different the last couple of years. Once I kind of learned that people you're actually able to do it kind of in the house. Sometimes we don't have the means or the stuff to do it outside, so we have property and I built a shelter just to do it. I have never used it. And we built a big, we have two of them actually out there. And it's just giant timber frame tent. One is going to be a pergola, and the other one is going to be a garage. But on that property, we don't have a house yet, and it's just wide open acreage with just two buildings. So we were going to use that for tabernacles, but we have yet to use it. We ended up moving to Florida.
Yeah.
So you say you are planning on doing it, so that's great. I want to try and do something different by then. To have like a call-in number so that we can kind of talk and, say hey to people and talk in real time, because the message thing on your end and me talking on my end, it's kind of weird. So we may try to fix that. I've been thinking about that the last couple of days. But other than that, it's just been working, going through the motions of life.
Yeah. And I don't know who's on here from Poland, but if you are still on the channel, Yah wants to be known by every nation. So if you are still connected, just sit and listen. You might learn something. You may not. You may walk away from this and saying, that's not my cup of tea, but at least you got to listen. So understand that Yah is interested to get to be known by every tongue, every nation, every language, every.
He promises to take a remnant from every nation. So because he promises to take a remnant from every nation, hey, you could be the remnant from Poland. Then we see you in heaven and be like, oh, you from Poland, what's up? Type thing. That's it. So, all right. But if there's nothing else, we're going to jump into this Matthew chapter 19. And we're just reading through it and looking at the life of Yeshua and looking at how our lives are supposed to line up with his life, and also looking at what did he actually teach. Because everyone says, oh, I'm a Christian, I'm this, I'm that. We don't need the Old Testament. We don't need to follow anything. But when you look at what Yeshua did, some of it is symbolic to what we do. We don't do it actually naturally. We do it spiritually. And then other things are just things that we're supposed to be doing that, to be honest with you, we fall short in a lot. Yeah. And we're not doing what we're supposed to do ever. Most of the time, we're not doing what we're supposed to do. As far as walking, what I'm saying, it's like Christians, they're almost never doing exactly what they're supposed to do because they don't realize that Yeshua is actually referring everything to the Old Testament. Everything he said, everything he did is based on the Old Testament. And if we claim to be followers of Christ, we claim to be just like Yeshua, he is our Lord and our Savior, then we need to act like it. We need to do what he did. Oh, one more thing. Something that's kind of been on my heart this last week or a couple weeks is, living the life that we're supposed to live. And it's based on, are we actually living and doing what we're supposed to do? The scripture, and I came about that, and I was going to do a whole video on it, but I'm going to drop some of it here. And, later on I may find some scriptures and actually put it together as a video. But something that made me a little bit upset was looking at the IUIC and looking at, there was a video on YouTube, a collage of videos from TikTok that were people making fun of Hebrew Israelites. And the reason why they make fun of them is because of people like the IUIC, Sakari, and these other groups that are very, very forceful in their approach to people. And it's off-putting. And there's a lot of people that are like, yo, why are you acting like this? We don't like this, So we need to line our lives up with the word and not be someone who other people look at and say, no, I don't want to be like you. Because Christians and everybody else are blaspheming Yahweh because of the dumb things that IUIC does. They get into fights. They act like heathen, claiming to be followers of Yah. And the thing about this walk is we're supposed to be teaching the rest of the world how to walk, not just people that look like us, not just our friends, not just, who we want it to be. But Yah promises to pull a remnant from the whole world, from every nation, all people. And because of that, we have to live our lives as if Yah is doing that, because that's what Yeshua said. In the New Testament, they went to the Gentiles because the true children of Israel, they didn't want to line up. They didn't want to do what they were supposed to do. So they went to the Gentiles. And now you have people saying, oh no, we don't do that. We don't want to go to them. We don't want to do this. We don't want to do that. And it's like, you don't have a choice. It's not up to you. It's up to Yah. Yah is the one that made this like it is. He's the one that said, this is your punishment. He's the one that put us in these countries. He's the one that separated us from himself and his land, because we wouldn't do what we're supposed to do. And now we're over here in these lands, and there's still people not wanting to do what Yahweh called them to do. Still stiff-necked, still hard-hearted, still hateful, still just worldly. I've said it many times before, and I'm going to say it again here. We are like untrained horses, running wild, just out doing whatever we want to do. Don't want to be used for anything useful. Just want to do whatever we feel like it. And this whole process of sanctification is to take a wild animal and tame it. It's to take a wild spirit and tame it. That's it. Where you no longer do whatever you want to do, but you only do the will of the Father. Because Yeshua said, no one gets to heaven unless they do the will of the Father. Okay? So Yeshua, his only will was for us to believe in him. And that's what Christians falter. Because Christians say, oh, we believe in Jesus, so that's it. There's nothing else to do. But even Yeshua, even Jesus said, hey, unless you fulfill the will of the Father, unless you obey the will of the Father, you're not going to see heaven. You're considered lawless, workers of iniquity, all those types of things, because you're still untamed, untrained. Just because you may not be doing everything the world does, Christians still do what the world does. They still follow the world. When you look at them, they look like the world. They even wear clothes to church. They wear wigs and weave. They wear everything that the world does. The church mimics. And that's not how we're supposed to be. We're supposed to be a set apart people, a people that are kind of weird when you look at them from the rest of the world, a people that, men, that whole pretty boy look, Yah's people, they're not really pretty boys. They can be. Got to be born of the water and the spirit and follow his doctrine so you die to see heaven. Exactly. But there's so many people that say, well, what is his doctrine? And that's why we're going through the book of Matthew, because, even in the New Testament, proving that Yeshua's doctrine is the Old Testament, is the law of Moses. Yeshua taught the law of Moses. We can even go into Paul and everybody else and show that they are still teaching the law of Moses. They're telling people to obey the law, but we don't obey. Okay, with Yeshua being the high priest now and being the sacrifice now, we don't have to do a lot of those things that the Old Testament said, but not everything. There's still a lot of things that still pertain to us. Like I said at the beginning, keeping the feasts and festivals. I want to take some time and go through all the places where, he changed some of it, but not all of it. Right. And that's the kicker. And that's what we try to tell Christians. We try to teach Christians that, hey, look, I understand where you're going and I understand where you're coming from. But at the same time, you're being taught wrong doctrine because you still have a responsibility. Right. There's still something you're supposed to do. And you can't just say, oh, we live on grace and grace alone. Grace is not going to sustain you. You're supposed to get to a point where you're not sinning, where you're not doing what Yah said don't do. Right. Grace is for that time. It's for you to kind of get it together and get your feet under you and start walking, because there's a whole life beyond sin. There's a whole life once you get on the other side of, oh, I don't feel like it. Oh, I just, that's works. We can't be doing anything because, hey, then that will be doing works. Where did Yah ever say you're not going to do anything? where did Yeshua ever tell people they don't have to do anything?
Right.
He said quite the opposite. And that's kind of, what we go through, how we're going through the book of Matthew, as well as other teachings that I have done on the channel. But I started this, just to kind of prove a point. And then I thought, we'll just keep it going. We'll just go all the way through the book of Matthew. Instead of like hitting Matthew, Luke, John, Mark. I'm sorry. My mind went blank for a second. I'm like, wait, hold on. What are the New Testament Gospels? Okay.
When you said Little John, I was like, wait, what?
John, right. So
you're talking about John.
Right. So the thing is, when we go through these, that's what we're doing, and we're trying to build up an understanding of what it actually is. Okay. And so let's get started. Matthew 19. And today I'm reading out of the New King James Version. I left 2 Bibles in my 18-wheeler, y'all. I left both of them. So because I left both of them in the 18-wheeler, I'm like, we'll just grab the next thing. So I got a New King James here. We're going to rock with that. It says, now it came to pass when Jesus had finished these sayings that he departed from Galilee, came to the region of Judea beyond the Jordan, and great multitudes followed him, and he healed them there. Real quick, I want to mention Galilee, of course, is not a city. It is a region. And even it says here, he came from Galilee and went to the region of Judea on the other side of Jordan. So Galilee is a region, and it encompasses like 3 of the tribes, 3 parts of the tribes. Not, I think, whole of Ben, the 3 parts of the tribes. And he went to the other tribes, Manasseh, half tribe of Manasseh, Simeon, and Naphtali. Yeah. So he went over there. Multitudes followed him, he healed them there. The Pharisees also came to him, testing him and saying to him, is it lawful for a man to divorce his wife for just any reason? And he answered and said to them, have you not read that he who made them at the beginning made them male and female, and said, for this reason a man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, and the 2 shall become one flesh. So then they are no longer 2, but one flesh. Therefore, what God has joined together, let no man separate. And this is the it's a spiritual side of what you actually do when you get married. So there's things in the word that are spiritual that we don't see it as such. We can't understand it the same way. Okay. But that's what it is. So once you make that vow and you tell that person that I'm going to stay with you, and I'm going to be with you forever, Yah looks at it as you're no longer one person or 2 people, but one person. They said to him, why then and to give a certificate of divorce and to put her away? Then he said, Moses, because of the hardness of your hearts, permitted you to divorce your wives, but from the beginning it was not so. And I say to you, whoever divorces his wife except for sexual immorality and marries another commits adultery, and whoever marries her who is divorced commits adultery. I want to mention something right there that he said, from the hardness, because of the hardness of your heart, permitted you to divorce your wives. But from the beginning, it was not so. We're going to learn, even just reading the word, that you realize what was the original plan for Yah, for Yeshua's people, for Yah's people, and that is going to always clash with what we are now. But we are trying to align our lives with what we're supposed to be, what Yah wanted it to be from the beginning. Now, does it mean we're perfect? No, because we made mistakes before we knew. We did things before we knew the truth. And once you do them, it's kind of late now. You can't go back and redo it or undo it. You just have to keep rolling with what you got. So a lot of times in our lives, we roll with what we got, okay, at the moment. And we okay. So before someone knew that you couldn't get a divorce and got remarried, okay, they just didn't know it. They didn't realize it. They didn't understand what Yah wanted it to be from the beginning. And then most of the time in modern day, both people are not lining up to do what it takes to stay together. You always got some food. They got to cheat. Always got some food. They got to beat the wife. You always got something going on, some garbage going on that messes it up. Right. And I know here it says only if she is sexual immoral, but it's not okay for men to hit women. It's not okay and they put it on the woman as if like the woman is the only person that cheats. There's a whole lot of dog men out here. You know, it's a whole lot on. And so you got a lot of men that are not living up to the standard that y'all set for them to be a godly man, to be someone that someone wants to spend the rest of their life with. Okay. And that's something that we got to fix for the future. Go ahead.
Yeah. I wanted to say something about where it says the two become one flesh. Okay. In a lot of cultures, it becomes difficult for two people to become one flesh because of family. Mm-hmm. A lot of times family interfere in marriage. That's not always the case, but when when you're becoming one flesh, that is a process that takes sometimes many years for you to understand your spouse, for you to understand the needs and the wants of your spouse for both sides. And so I know, and because I come from a Dominican culture, the Hispanic culture, a lot of times is very close-knit families. And sometimes the family can consistently interfere with your marriage, and only the strongest marriage in those situations survive. When a man really loves the woman, or when the woman really loves the man, they can stand on their ground with the family. But I wanted to share that the needing of becoming one flesh. Mm-hmm. If you don't have Yah in the midst of that relationship, and then you are being pulled from several directions, okay? Because a lot of times, and I will mention this here, the family is benefiting from you being single, okay? Mm-hmm. We're going to talk truth here. The family benefits from you being single, because that means that when they need something, you drop it and you go assist. When whether it is financial, emotional, physical, labor, it doesn't matter. They are benefiting from that. And sometimes when you have a mother that is too attached to the son and is single, that becomes a problem, because a lot of times in a lot of our cultures, the mother see the son as the man that steps up into the role of a husband. And that becomes a very slip slope, okay, in relationships. So I just want to bring that up, that sometimes we have to go back and look at scriptures, especially if you're a godly man or a godly woman, and look at what Yah is telling you to do versus what everybody else wants you to do, mm-hmm. in order to make your marriage successful.
Mm-hmm. All right. Right. All right. Very good. Very good. Let's see. Let's move on. It says, his disciples came to him. If such is the case of the man with his wife, it is better not to marry. But he said to them, all cannot accept the saying, but only those to whom it has been given. For there are eunuchs who were born thus from their mother's womb, and there are eunuchs who were made eunuchs by men, and there are eunuchs who made themselves eunuchs for the kingdom of heaven's sake. Who is able to accept it, let him accept it. And I want to pause right there, because I want to talk about the 144,000. Because Yeshua is talking about the 144,000 here. In the book of Revelation, you see the 144,000, and people, they miss completely what it actually is. The 144,000 are usually men. As far as in the scripture, it seems like they're all men. You could be a woman, I guess, but it makes it seem like it's more of a man thing, of a male thing. That from birth till they die, They have never slept with a woman. They have never married. They have never been intimate in any way, shape, or form. They have completely devoted themselves to the things of Yah, which is why it's so special to be part of the 144,000. So in the word, you see that Paul was probably the first of the 144,000. I can say that because the 144,000 is not an Old Testament thing. I don't think it doesn't seem like it is. It seems like it's more of a New Testament thing. So it's someone who just completely devoted themselves from birth till death. And for men, it is not a thing of, oh, you got married. It's a thing of you have never, how can I say this? Way. You've never used
You've never had encounters with intercourse.
Right. Or you've never, released,
right,
sperm, we'll say it like that.
Right.
That is why it makes the 144,000 so special.
Right.
There's a lot of people that say, oh, we're part of the 144,000. Most of us are not. I'm sorry.
Right.
Most of us are not, which is why it is so special. Okay. So this is where, when he says you're not supposed, it's better to not even be married if you're not going to be able to know that you're going to be with that person for the rest of your life. And Yeshua says, yes, you're right. If you make yourself a eunuch for the kingdom of heaven's sake, that is a very special place. Okay.
I want to highlight something here. It says also, and there are some eunuchs which were made eunuchs of men.
Because they castrate them. They've been castrated by men.
Right. I was thinking of abuse too. Even though, I mean, you can't really say certain things, but I was thinking of abuse. I was thinking of men who get abused. And it could be the same for women. And they just don't want to have nothing to do with that part of their body with somebody else. So I thought about that, and it caught my attention. Definitely something worth, praying about, looking into. But
let's see. It says, then little children were brought to him that he might put his hands on them and pray. The disciples rebuked them, but Yeshua said, let the little children come to me and do not forbid them, for of such is the kingdom of heaven. And he laid his hand on them and departed from there. Now behold, one came and said to him, good teacher, what good thing shall I do that I may have eternal life? So he said to him, why do you call me good? No one is good but one, that is God. But if you want to enter into life, keep the commandments. You hear that? If you want to enter into life, keep the commandments. Christians. He said to him, which ones? Yeshua said, you shall not murder, you shall not commit adultery, you shall not steal, you shall not bear false witness, honor your father and your mother, and you shall love your neighbor as yourself. The young man said to him, all these things I have kept from my youth. What do I still lack? Okay. Pause right there. There are people who just have high moral standards. There are atheists who have high moral standards. There are Muslims who have high moral standards, Buddhists who have high moral standards. They're Satanists. They have high moral standards. So just because you were taught to do these things, they're just kind of automatic with you now. So this young person seems like, my parents taught me all this stuff. I already know this stuff. We do this already, And then he's like, but what else? Why would you feel, okay. This is the thing about relationship versus religion. You can do something as a religion, as just tradition. This is just what we do. This is who we are. This is what hallmarks us as who we are. But unless you have a relationship, you will always wonder there will always be that thing in you that says, I'm not sure. Because you have not created a relationship with Yah. That's what we want to push more than anything, is actually having a relationship with Yah to where there's communication. You can ask, am I messing up? Am I sidestepping? Am I screwing this all up? And Yah will tell you yes or no. He's not just gonna, you don't have to go your whole life just doing something just to find out you were doing wrong once you die. Like, that's not fair at all to nobody. So Yah actually makes it to where you can talk to him and he will speak back to you. But you have to enter a relationship with him. That's the difference between a relationship and religion. A relationship and religion. We don't want religion. We don't want to teach people these are just the do's and the don'ts and just never cross that line. Because eventually you're going to have an Eve out there, whether it's male or female. You're going to have an Eve that says, well,
what about this?
We might can try this. And once you start trying new things, it'll get you every time. You have to understand why you don't do that. It's just like a child. Every child wants to stick something into the outlet, the wall outlet. Every child wants to. And it's, we have to constantly be on guard for that when they're toddlers, because they'll do it in a heartbeat. It's just a desire. Every child wants to touch the hot stove. It's just something in them. But you have to learn why. And once a child learns why you don't do that, they'll never do it again. Sometimes they got to touch that hot stove. They got to touch that hot pot that you keep saying, stop reaching your hand up here for. And then they'll learn and they won't do it again. Okay. But then there's some things that we cannot afford to mess up on. That's where relationship comes in, to trust. All right. Let's see. The young man said to him, all these things I have kept from my youth. What do I still lack? Yeshua said to him, if you want to be perfect, go sell all you have, give to the poor, and you will have treasure in heaven, and come, follow me. Hint, hint. You can lay up treasure in heaven by giving here on earth. Don't let these pastors tell y'all the only way you can store treasure in heaven is to give to the church. Poo-poo on that. You go and you find someone who is worthy, more than likely a follower of Yah, if possible. But if not, find someone, a single mother, a widow, someone who doesn't have someone. Go by cut her grass sometime. Go by and help the young girl who you see that she's 18 years old with 3 kids. Go see how she's doing sometime. Bring her some snacks. Modern day, most of them on, food stamps, and they got plenty of food. But if you see where she's lacking something, help her out. And that is how you store treasure in heaven. Okay. You don't always have to give to the church. It doesn't have to be something that only the pastor can, somehow do something spiritual and make that money do something, for you in heaven. It's just going to his pocket. It's a Cadillac fund. So if you want to be perfect, go and sell what you have, give what you have to the poor. And he said, "Now come follow me." But when a young man heard that, he went away sorrowful, for he had great possessions. Nowadays, we have great possessions. We have a lot of stuff. I could walk you around my house. My house is full of stuff. And it's stuff will accumulate over time. Yep. But the thing is, we have great possessions. But if those possessions have us and we cannot get rid of something,
that's a problem.
That's a problem. Me personally, I don't have much, but I can give up anything I have because I've already given up what I thought was the most important things in my life. I already gave it up. So these other physical things, it's not that big of a deal. I used to have a business. And in my business, I worked at a mall. And my busiest day was Saturday. And when I learned that I could no longer work on Saturday, I knew my dreams of being a business owner again were done. It was over. I took that very hard. Like that sent me into a spiral. I was gone. because I realized my livelihood that I had made good money was over. That was one of the hardest things I've ever given up. Okay. Food is another one. It's a hard thing for me to give up. The catfish, the shrimp, because I live along the Gulf Coast. Shrimp, catfish, crawfish, oh God. All the different delicacies, the oysters, the crab legs, all that good stuff, right? I heard I couldn't do it no more. And that hurt me. That hurt me. Never going to be able to go out and just have shrimp and grits. It's over. Pork chops, ribs, it's over.
Right.
That stuff, oh God, that hurt me. That hurt me. But I did it. And now to this day, I cannot stand the smell of bacon cooking.
Oh, yeah.
It makes me nauseous instantly.
Yeah.
If I go into a restaurant and have a very heavy pork smell, I'm done. I can't do it.
Yeah. Can we pause that for a second?
Yes.
I was as we were talking about food. I just had this conversation with some coworkers actually, because a lot of times especially when you start a new job, people don't know you. They don't know what your likes and don't likes. And so when you get into these conversations, people are very curious. Why don't you eat pork? Why you don't eat shrimp? Like, what's wrong with that? Okay. And it opens up conversations to share the truth with people. And it doesn't mean that you have to be pushy. It doesn't mean that you have to make it seem like they have to follow. They don't. But it speaks of you as a person. So when we talk about these things, giving up, all these things, what Yah is looking is for your heart. He's looking for a place in your heart. He wants to know that he's first in everything that you do. So it is an interesting dynamic as you grow, once you start sharing those truths with people. So just be open about those things and tell people why you don't eat those things. Explain to them, because it brings curiosity and they wonder, should I be eating pork? Should I be eating these things? And when you look at the health benefits of those things, you realize, actually, no, I shouldn't. Okay. So share those things openly. Don't be afraid of sharing your truth with people. And the thing about possessions, here in the United States, Americans are full of possessions. And it's something that is very difficult for most Americans to give up. If you go to Donald Trump and tell him, sell everything, you really want to get into heaven? Sell everything and give it to the poor. He'll look at you like, what? I mean, you hurt my feelings. You're right. It's going to hurt your feelings because we are so tied up to our possessions. Everything in your house has a meaning to you. And that's what it boils down. We are emotional creatures, believe it or not. If it's not,
and our self-worth is tied up in what we have.
Right.
We think because we got a nice car, we made it.
I was just thinking about cars.
We hit that level of success.
Right.
You got a nice Cadillac, nice big body Suburban, nice car, even a clean old school and some rims. Them guys spent a lot of money on that stuff. So that you made it. Mm-hmm. You got a good job. Them oil field workers, they drive different cars than them guys that work at Walmart.
Right. Right.
It's a whole different class of people now.
Right.
So you people by what they have, and in America we look at homeless people and we think they're less than because they don't have anything. And we look at somebody like Donald Trump or Floyd Mayweather or, I don't know, somebody else who got a lot, and we think that they're better because they have a lot. But it doesn't necessarily mean anything.
Right. And this goes back to having the seat at the front. When you look at churches, okay, they rather sit the person that has the money that gives the most tithe in the front and they want to honor that person. And this is where Yah looks at pastors and religious people like, why do you do that? Why do you treat them better than a homeless person when the homeless person should be treated better than the person that has the money? This is where you have those situations where Yah gets upset with people that use his name because of those very things. They hold them into high regard, while the person that is poor, they mistreat and do awful things to. So when we're talking about these things, this is the heart of people. And you have to have enough discernment in your spiritual walk to know who these people are and how to minister to these people so that you can get through to them in the truth. But yeah, the smell of bacon, Miss Carolyn. Once you stop eating it, you realize like the smell is awful.
Yeah, you can't do that. You're so right. Let's keep it moving. Let's see. So then Yeshua said to his disciples, surely I say to you that it is hard for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven. And again, I say to you, it is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven. And we're not talking about a gigantic needle, that's the size of a building to make the eye a little easier for a camel to go through. The thing about it is, what he's saying is it's almost impossible. It is very close to impossible.
Yeah.
For that to happen, because we are so tied up to our possessions. And it's a very hard thing to do. It's a very hard thing to kick, Okay, let me say something else based on that. We have to get to the point in our life here on earth where nothing of this world pulls on us. That is a very hard place to get to. That is what Yah is actually looking for in his kingdom. He's looking for people who will walk away from absolutely everything in this world, because Satan offers you everything. Satan offered Yeshua everything. Everything that a person of his stature would want. Now, if he went to, someone else, he would hit them with a few things that they would desire based on where they are. But based on where Yeshua is in his authority, in his power, in his understanding, Yah hit him with everything he had. And we have to get to the point, because we are so full. We started off backwards. Yeshua started off, him and the Father growing up. He spent a lot of time with the Father. So by the time he got to that point where he begins his ministry, he already had a rock solid foundation to stand on with Yah. We are the opposite. We were deep into the kingdom of darkness. We were deep in the grasp of the enemy, and we are trying to come out of it. So we're starting on opposite ends of the spectrum, but we're expected to get to the same endpoint, where Yeshua was obedient to the Father, even up to and including death. We have to be the same way, but we're starting so deep in the enemy's territory. We have a lot more to give up. We have a lot more to shed off of us. We don't realize how many spirits are on us at all times. We don't realize what we're surrounded by all the time because we can't see them. We don't realize how hard it is for a human being to get into the kingdom of heaven. We don't realize how hard it is to be that remnant. It's hard, okay?
Yeah.
Because we have to let go of so much. We have to be able to walk away from everything. And Yah has to become our everything. Okay?
Right.
Yeah.
I just wanted, as you were talking, I was reminded of an experience I had years ago. This was not recent, but years ago, I went to a store with a friend at lunch to get lunch. And we are standing in the doorway and they had umbrellas sitting in the front. And of course, we looked outside before we went in and we're like, man, it looks like it's going to rain. So we were trying to figure out if we were going to buy an umbrella to get back to the car because it was going to pour down rain that day. And so as we're looking at the umbrellas, trying to pick one. This gentleman walks in. I didn't look at his face. I didn't see who he was or anything. All I know is he had a long black coat, dressed very well, obviously, because I saw his shoes. But when he stood next to me, my spirit, there was such a powerful encounter in that moment that that I had to hold on to my friend because I was about to pass out. Obviously his spirit did not line up with mine, and he was very deep in the things of the enemy and darkness, probably doing some really crazy stuff behind the scenes. But the thing is, as you were talking about, we really don't know how much stuff we have on us. And then when someone that is devoted to Yah comes close enough, and they come close enough to you, they can feel everything that you're carrying. And it's something so powerful that it will leave you speechless sometimes. And I know you've had some experiences too with some people. But people just don't know. I mean, we can walk through a neighborhood and I can tell you which houses have some really powerful stuff in them, where people are in darkness, where people are dealing with some deep stuff because of life situations. It doesn't matter. But the point is, demons attach to people very easily based on desires, wants, based on jealousy, envy, based on your thoughts, things like that, based on the things that you take action on. They can attach to you, and you really don't know. You really do not know what's on you until you come in contact with someone and that person takes a hold of you and says, hey, there's some stuff on you. I can help you with that. But you have to be able to give up some things. And that's where the hiccup come in, is giving up the things that bring all this stuff into our lives. That's the hard part.
Right. When his disciples heard it, they were greatly astonished, saying, who then can be saved? If it's this hard to be saved, who can be saved? But Yeshua looked at them and said to them, with men, this is impossible, but with God, all things are possible. Which that's kind of like a play on, like a sleight of words. It's a very big understatement. He said it right at first. With men, it's impossible. It seems impossible to be saved. When you just stop and think about it, we can sit and talk about these different things and kind of make it a little bit more palatable or understandable. But when you just sit back and think about how holy Yah is and how fallen this world is, it just lets you know how far we got to go till we get out of it. Then Peter answered and said to him, see, we have left all and followed you. Therefore, what shall we have? So Yeshua said to them, surely I say to you that in the regeneration?
Yes.
Really?
Uh-huh.
First time I ever seen that word. I don't know why. So Yeshua said to them, surely I say to you that in the regeneration, we're going to be regenerated? Like, okay. All right.
That's like when you restart your computer, turn off and then reset.
Well, yeah, but like when we think of like a generation, we think, okay, this generation is separate from the next generation, from the generation past. And understanding in Bible terms, a lot of times it talks about this generation, meaning this time.
Right.
And I know we live in the time of the Gentiles right now. But I'm thinking in the regeneration. Okay. All right. When the Son of Man sits on the throne of his glory, you who have followed me will also sit on 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel. And everyone who has left houses or brothers or sisters or father or mother or wife or children or lands for my name's sake shall receive 100-fold and inherit eternal life. But many who are first will be last, and the last first. Something caught my eye here, and I want to look at it. It says, And everyone who has left houses or brothers or sisters or father or mother or wife or children or lands for my name's sake. I know back in the during the Inquisitions, when Rome were hunting down the believers during the Dark Ages, they were running for Yah's sake, for the sake of who they were, for the sake of their faith, and to remain one of Yah's children. Okay. But here he's letting you know you're gonna have to give up some stuff. All these things are gonna be a hindrance to you at some point. Your own family, it makes me think back when Yeshua's own family went to go get him to try to talk some sense into him and tell him, man, you're not the son of God, dude. You are brother. We know you. I can see his aunties and uncles. I can see his, brothers and sisters. I can see people who knew him or who thought they knew him saying, bro, you done lost your mind.
You ain't nobody, brother.
Right.
Come on.
You're not that special. Come on, stop it.
What you smoking? Come on and get back into the fold.
So we look at this and we say, everyone who tries to tell us who we're not, there comes a point where you're going to have to leave them behind.
Yep.
There comes a point where you're going to have to walk away from them. If it stops you from pushing forward to the things of Yah, sometimes, almost every time, you're going to be walking this alone.
Yep.
I'm just going to tell you. Almost every single time you're going to be walking this alone. And it is something crazy when you have always been very close to your family to have to walk away because everybody's trying to pull you in a different direction. And we saw this firsthand during COVID. You have families divided over who gets the shot and who doesn't. You have families divided over what you believe, because if we say, Yah told me, don't get this shot.
Yeah.
Don't do this. And then other family members would attack you, like come against you so hard, until either you push them away or you fell into what they said and you did what they said.
Yeah.
So, the thing of majority rules, majority not supposed to rule our heart and our mind. Yahweh is supposed to rule us. Okay. So if Yah is not ruling us, we need to check ourselves.
Yeah. And I will say that it can become very lonely. It can become a very lonely road until you come in contact with people that have a heart like yours. Before my husband came into my life, I did this by myself for about 10, 15 years. Where I was teaching my kids and equipping them and building them up in the faith. And then he came along and, decided to walk this out as well. So the thing is, which I was already calling him into it anyway. He just needed reassurance that there was ability of getting it done. But the thing is, it becomes a very lonely road. And you have to consistently defend your faith and protect what you're building. You don't have to, but it just feels that way because everybody comes at you. Everybody comes against you. Everybody has a justification as to why you shouldn't. You have Christians that say, "Oh, you're not supposed to be keeping the law." Show me that. Where does it say that I'm not supposed to be keeping the commandments? But they can't pull that out. Show me where in scripture it says I'm not supposed to be keeping Shabbat. There is no place in the Bible, in the entire Bible, where Yah changed his holy day from Saturday to Sunday. Nowhere. Show me that in scripture. So when you begin to stand on your faith and to direct these questions at people, they don't know how to respond. And but they will argue every other point. They will bring up everything else to try to get you swayed in their direction.
Right.
And that's what makes this hard and at times a very lonely walk, because you have that opposition consistently.
Right.
So
very so, very much so.
Mhm.
All right. Let's see.
We're gonna go to 20.
Yeah. You want to do 20?
Yeah, we can do 20.
I just want to talk for a little bit. 20 is not that long. 20 is not that long. We'll go ahead and knock out 20.
We'll do 20.
It says, "For the kingdom of heaven is like a landowner who went out early in the morning to hire laborers for his vineyard." I love this parable, so I'm probably going to stop a lot in this because I really like this parable. When he had agreed with the laborers for a denarii a day, he sent them into his vineyard, and he went out about the third hour and saw others standing idle in the marketplace, and said to them, "You also go into the vineyard, and whatever is right I will give you." So they went. Again, he went out about the 6th hour and the 9th hour and did likewise. And about the 11th hour, he went out and found others standing idle, and said to them, "Why have you been standing here idle all day?" They said to him, "Because no one hired us." He said to them, "You also go into the vineyard, and whatever is right you will receive." So when evening had come, the owner of the vineyard said to his steward, "Call the laborers and give them their wages, beginning with the last to the first." And when those came who were hired about the 11th hour, they each received a denarii. But when the first came, they supposed that they would receive more. And they likewise received a denarius. And when he had received it, they complained against the landowner, saying, "These last men have worked only 1 hour, and you made them equals to us, who have borne the burden and the heat of the day." But he answered one of them and said, "Friend, I am doing you no wrong. Did you not agree with me for a denarius? Take what is yours and go your way. I wish to give to this last man the same as to you. Is it not lawful for me to do what I wish with my own things? Or is your evil eye because I am good? Or is your eye evil because I am good?" So the last will be first, and the first last. For many are called, but few chosen. All right. So in that parable, we can look at our life and our walk. There are people who, since the Old Testament, since Yeshua, they have had a much harder life than what we have. There's some people who they had to go through a ridiculous amount of stuff just to get into the kingdom. And then you have our generation that we don't physically have people killing us. We're not running for our lives. We're not going through some of the awful things that they went through. Okay. But we're all going to receive the same wage. It doesn't matter where you start. You know, you're going to have some Gentiles that are going to come in, and people who have had to walk out all of the commandments are going to look at them and be like, "I can't believe it." Mm-hmm. All they did was say a prayer. All they did was just start walking. And then somehow they passed away. And now they're here. Mm-hmm. You know, there's going to be an awful lot of people that are not going to get it. But I want you guys to understand, Yah he's faithful, and he's going to do what he said he would do. When you look at the person who was on the cross next to Yeshua, he didn't have to do anything. He had the easiest time because he was dying. So he couldn't walk out the commandments. He couldn't walk out any of the things that proved his heart outside of him having the revelation that Yeshua was who he was, and basically giving his life to Yeshua, asking to be in his kingdom. So you're going to have a lot of people that are going to be upset about people like that. They get in and didn't have to really do much of anything. Okay. But you can see how Yeshua says he's going to start with the last when it comes to judgment, when it comes to everything. So people who had been in the faith for a very long time are going to watch all these other people go through the line before themselves. And that's just how it's going to be.
That'll be interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. It says, now Yeshua going up to Jerusalem. 12 took the 12 disciples aside on the road and said to them, "Behold, we are going up to Jerusalem, and the Son of Man will be betrayed to the chief priests and to the scribe, and they will condemn him to death and deliver him to the Gentiles to mock and to scourge and to crucify. And the third day he will rise again." Then the mother of Zebedee's sons came to him with her sons, kneeling down and asking something of him. And he said to her, "What do you wish?" And she said to him, "Grant that these two sons of mine may sit, one on your right hand and the other on the left, in your kingdom." But Yeshua answered and said, "You do not know what you ask. Are you able to drink the cup that I am able to drink, and be baptized with the baptism that I am baptized with?" And what that basically means is, it says, "Are you able to drink the cup that I'm about to drink, and to be baptized with the baptism that I am baptized with?" What that means is, are you able to endure what I just said, the mocking? Are you able to endure the scourging? Are you able to endure the crucifying? Because that's a muggle booger. It ain't easy when you know the pain that's going to come your way.
Yep.
Yeshua knew the pain that was going to come his way, and he still did it. That's like some, I don't watch horror movies, but it's like a horror movie where the person is about to torture the other person, and he sits there and details absolutely everything he's about to do. And that person just has to sit there like, oh God, and it makes it 10 times worse than if something just happens to you. So he's asking her, their mother, can they do this? Can you do what I'm about to do? Okay.
Yep.
And in the Old Testament, this is where Moses struck the rock the second time, because the first time it was like striking Yeshua, the scourging. Okay. The second time he was supposed to speak to the rock, but in his anger and his frustration, he struck the rock. So those who wish to follow Yeshua have to go through the same thing Yeshua went through. Sometimes it is purely mental and spiritual, and sometimes it is physical. Okay. But we all have to go through the same thing. And this is exactly what is taking place here. He's asking her, can they withstand? And they said to him, the sons said to him, "We are able." I don't think they understood what was going to happen to them. This is one of those times where, having more understanding before you speak probably would have done them a little bit better. Okay. And I don't know what these two went through, but I guarantee you they got the business. So he said to them, "You will indeed drink my cup and be baptized with the baptism that I am baptized with. But to sit on my right hand and on my left hand is not mine to give, but it is for those for whom it is prepared by my Father." Another point that Yeshua is not the Father, because he didn't even know. Okay? Right. And when the 10 heard it, they were greatly displeased with the two brothers.
The disciples was like, wait,
y'all suck. What? That's not fair. We want to do it too.
They felt jealous. Yeah, they felt jealous that,
hold up.
Y'all asked for something, but I guess they were thinking that's supposed to be our portion. Right. Is what I think they were thinking.
We're all supposed to be even. Right. And now all of a sudden y'all are asking for something special. Right. Hold on, we want to be special too.
Right. But one thing about that is, it's interesting because the disciples were with Yeshua the whole time. And I guess it was assumed in their mind that because they were Yeshua's disciples, they were going to have that same treatment as Yeshua, not realizing that there are certain things that you have to go through in order to be able to gain that victory. So this is where a lot of people get lost in the faith, right here, because they want something and they're asking Yah to give it to them, but
they're not fully prepared
the process, to walk it out. Right, the process that they have to walk out is very, very hard and very, very difficult, and they give up before they can receive the crown. And so, you know, even here in the book of Matthew, in detail, it tells you, can you endure what Yeshua endured? Can you walk this thing out to gain the victory and get the crown? Like scripture says, you know, if you endure, you will be given the crown of life. Can you endure to be able to get the crown of life on the back end? And majority of people cannot. This is where they crumble, the pressure, the opposition, you know, ever since we started the channel together, the amount of opposition we've had is incredible. The amount of people that, you know, have said that, you know, we've lost our mind and we're crazy, is incredible. But, you know, when you realize this is exactly what they were asking, they were telling Yeshua, hey, I want to gain what you're gaining. How do I do that? Okay. And Yeshua told them, well, hold on. Are you sure you're going to be able to work this thing out? Because these are the series of things that you are going to have to endure to get there.
And he told them point blank, like he didn't beat around the bush. He didn't use any parables. You know, he told them straight up point blank, this is what I'm fixing to go through. And they still wanted what he was going to go through. Okay. But I think it's so hilarious how we as humans, we get so jealous of each other because someone else got one little thing that seems special, not understanding what that person is fixing to have to go through. We will line up and say, I want that too. Give me one too. Or I will make mine large. Not knowing what they finna go through.
Right.
You know? But I think that's kind of funny because that's just how we are today. You know, that's just how we are. But let's keep it moving. It says, and when the 10 heard it, they were greatly displeased with the two brothers. But Yeshua called them to himself and said, you know that the rulers of the Gentiles lord it over them, and those who are great exercise authority over them. Yet it shall not be so among you. But whoever desires to become great among you, let him be your servant. And whoever desires to be first among you, let him be your slave. Just as the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life a ransom for many. Now, and okay, with that, a lot of people will say that last line, but will completely ignore the rest of what Yeshua said and misunderstand the whole point of what he's saying. People who want to be something special, they make themselves something special, and then they stand over other people. They want to be the boss, and they make everybody else do what they want them to do. But he's saying in the kingdom of heaven, it's not like that. It's not like that. You're gonna have to be the opposite of the world.
Right.
The world says, hey, I got the money, I got the power. I own all the land, I got the power. I own what is necessary for everyone, I got the power.
Right.
But he's saying if you want the power here, you're gonna have to serve the most people.
Yep.
You're gonna have to, you know, make yourself available to be used and abused by everybody.
That's it right there.
By the most people. Okay. Jericho, a great multitude followed him, and behold, two blind men sitting by the road, when they heard that Yeshua was passing by, cried out, saying, have mercy on us, O Yah, son of David, O Lord, son of David. Then the multitude warned them that they should be quiet, but they cried out all the more, saying, have mercy on us, O Lord, son of David. So Yeshua stood still and called them and said, what do you want me to do for you? They said to him, Lord, that our eyes may be open. So Yeshua had compassion and touched their eyes, and immediately their eyes received sight, and they followed him. I mean, I know what you got. I got it too. I know what you got. Go ahead.
This is the people that are crying out to Yeshua because they want their spiritual beings to be awakened to the truth. So there where the two were crying out, and then of course the multitude was saying, "Oh, be quiet, stop yelling and screaming." That's the church telling you, no, be quiet. What these people are telling you is not true. And they understood, Yeshua, you are the son of, and this is something that is so powerful to me, because they got the revelation of who Yeshua was, what he was capable of doing, even before
he got close to
them. Right. And they wanted their eyes, they wanted their spirit to be awakened.
And they were
to
blind.
The truth.
So it's not like they saw him coming.
Right.
they just knew spiritually.
There's somebody just showed up.
Right.
Somebody.
They knew something done happened.
Yes.
They could see plainly, even though they could not see. They could feel his presence.
Yes.
From a long ways away. And they knew, I got to have that. Okay.
And I think for me, because I've walked this for so long, the part for me that baffles me so many times is people who believe that they can see but do not. Mm-hmm. And then people who don't see at all. They're Gentiles, or they're like in the world, and they become hungry for Yah, mm-hmm. and they can see you miles away, and they're like, I gotta have that. Mm-hmm. Whatever it is that you have, I need that. I want that. Mm-hmm. Come here. I gotta have that.
Right. And they're willing to ignore all the other people who are saying, not that way. Don't do it like that. You just be quiet.
Right.
You sit over here because mm-hmm. you're not ready for this. Mm-hmm. Other people predetermine what you're ready for and what you're not ready for. Yeah. And which I think is crazy. I've said that before about pastors. I cannot stand when pastors feel like, I'm not going to tell y'all all of it today because I want y'all to come back next Sunday. No, give them what they asking for. Mm-hmm. Give them what they seeking. Right then.
Right.
Tell them the truth of how to get into the kingdom.
Right.
Don't lead people on falsely.
Mm-hmm.
Pastor, you know who you talking, who you are. You know who I'm talking to. Okay. Sorry. Just in case you're watching. But there are people in the world who they don't know the truth. Mm-hmm. But when they hear it, yeah. they hear that there's something different. Yep. And they want to know how to go further.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, it speaks the beauty of that. Because let's be truthful, Yeshua had many people following him. Many people were going to listen to his teachings, but not all of them were his disciples, and not all of them received the healing that they were seeking. So we need to be, we need to understand, what are we looking for? Okay, mm-hmm. What exactly are you looking for? What are you seeking? What are you wanting from Yah to do for you and to do with you? Because I believe that the difference between you receiving the miracle, okay, and just sitting there listening, the multitudes resemble the church. People who go to church every single Sunday. First of all, you're not even worshiping the right God. Let's start there. Sorry, I'm gonna say it. It goes back to the scriptures in the book of Acts, where Paul showed up at Athens and was telling the people, you show up into this temple every week worshiping this God that you don't even know. Even the altar says, to the unknown God. You don't even know who you're worshiping, but I'm here to introduce you to the God that you're worshiping. And what did they do? Okay, they rejected it. Only a few was like, hey, let's listen to this matter in private. Only a few make the choice of, I'd like to hear what you got to say, because this is different. I've never heard this before. So it goes back, and I know, the hubby, he kind of reacted to my comment.
No, I just didn't want you to go too deep.
See, okay. See, there you go.
I just didn't want you to go like too deep. but yeah, go ahead.
But the thing is, you know, that's what we're supposed to do. We are supposed to be calling these things out, right, and saying, this is the truth, this is the light, this is not, and lead people into the right path.
Right. Also, because, you know, in the Old Testament, the job of the Levites was to define what was clean, what was unclean, mm-hmm, what is acceptable to Yah, and what was not. That was just the whole point of their ministry. And then you have in Malachi, mm-hmm, where it outlines what's going to be taught in the New Testament. It kind of outlines, you know, what Yeshua is going to do, what John the Baptist is going to do, you know, how it's going to work, the purpose of it. And it's the same thing. Yeshua's purpose is the same thing as the Levites' purpose. It was to define what is good and what is bad. People need to understand where the line is between good and evil, between godly people and ungodly people, people that are going to make it into the kingdom of heaven and people who are not. They're supposed to put that line right down the middle and say, this is where it is. And everything on this side is this way. Everything on this side is this way. So as we read the Bible, as we go through the word, as we pray, as we seek Yah, that is literally what we're doing, is we are looking at where are we? Because in some aspects, we're on the wrong side of the line. But we have to read and get the understanding of where we are. If we don't understand where we are, read, line your life up. Okay, I'm going to use this example because this is so true. All right, let me say it like this. If you know, okay, I'm going to use this example. If a woman looks at videos on YouTube and those videos are outlining what a cheater is, okay? You know, you see those videos all the time. 5 things a narcissist does, 5 things that a cheater does. If you see that your life is lining up with those things, you're going to do the opposite because you don't want to be that. That is not the person you want to be. Okay. When you see videos on YouTube where wealthy people say 5 things wealthy people do that poor people don't do, and you look at that and you say, "Ooh, I'm doing what poor people do. If I want to be wealthy, if I want to be like this, then I need to line my life up and make these things happen." You know, when people say Elon Musk reads 2 books a day, there's people out there who want to read a book a day. You know, they say, "Oh, I gotta read a book a day." When people say wealthy people, you know, listen to classical music, you got all these people that'll start listening to classical music. You know, people will line up their life with success. In the kingdom of heaven, we line up our life with the remnant. I didn't know I didn't line up with what Yah called me to be until I started reading the word and seeing that the word really kind of outlines I was a Esau. Okay. I was not a Jacob. I was an Esau. I was not I thought I was godly. I thought I was good. I thought I was, hey, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, right? But according to the word, I was way off base. Okay. But once I started aligning my life to the word and not the word to my life, I didn't look for scriptures that gave me the idea that I'm doing what I'm supposed to do by manipulating the scriptures. I just read it. And when I saw something that I was not doing, I started doing it. Okay. If I saw that, man, I'm getting too cozy with the world. For instance, the only holiday I really celebrated was Halloween. I loved Halloween. Okay. And I liked Halloween so much because it was the one day you get to be something different than what you are every day. Every day you're yourself. But there's one day out of the year where you get to dress up as anything else. And so I looked at it from that standpoint until I saw the standards of the word that said, nah, these things right here, the things that they do, even though you doing them innocently, you're still copying and doing the things that the world are doing, that the enemy is doing. You don't want to do that. So I changed. It's okay. No more Halloween. The first year was hard. Like I really felt left out. I really felt like, man, this sucks. So we went to the movies. we had to get out the house and go do something else because it was bothering me. Then after that I was okay. When we learn that our lives are not lining up with the word, we need to change our life because we want to be the remnant. I want to be the remember. The old song when the saints come marching in. I want to be one of those saints. I want people that Yah says, welcome, good and faithful servant. I want to be that. So I have to learn what it takes. What kind of stuff did they go through? What kind of stuff do they do? What does the remnant act like? What do they eat? How do they dress? I want to know everything about them because I want to line my life up with that.
Right. Something that I want to highlight in what you said, you were giving your testimony about Halloween. Notice that because his first year was so rough, we replaced it with something in the meantime. Okay. The same thing happens in our life spiritually. Okay. There are times that Yah is going to ask you to do certain things that you're going to have a rough time with. Okay. And Yah may give you an idea. Oh, we'll do it this way. Until you're able to complete the task at 100%, I want you to do it this way. Why? Because it takes the focus away from that thing into something else. Okay. So in this case, he was having a hard time with Halloween because it was his favorite holiday. Okay, no problem. Let's find an alternate thing to do. That way you're not thinking about that thing.
Right.
And
I always bought my kids candy. So what I would do, before Halloween, I would buy them a bunch of candy. And then I felt good because I felt like, okay, you at least got some candy. Because for kids, that's the main thing. And her kids never experienced Halloween. But my two did. And we would go all out dressing up for Halloween. Like we did it big every year. We spent probably $500-600 a year on Halloween costumes because I wanted the good stuff. I wanted all the stuff I couldn't have when I was little. I wanted my kids to have it, so that we got the good stuff. Yeah. But once I gave it up, I felt bad, and I felt like I was a failing father. like when you try to teach your kids that Christmas is not real, right? When all the other kids at school are talking about Santa, and you're trying to teach your kids, man, that's not real.
We don't do that.
Right. We don't do that. They lie. And then your kids go to school and they tell everybody the Christmas ain't real.
Right.
And now you got a meeting with the teacher.
Right. Right. And I tell you what, I actually experienced that. Actually, Christmas was my favorite holiday out of all of them during the year. And my family was very big, very, very big with Christmas. It's actually my mom's favorite holiday as well. And I had to make that choice. I went through a season where Yah would allow me to put the Christmas tree up, okay, but not buy gifts or not, really partake of a lot of things.
That's that grace period.
Right. It's that grace period, right? And then the very last time I did put the Christmas tree up, I noticed that it was a spirit in the house. And this, and it goes back to you have to get, Yah gives you time to fix it, time to align yourself, time, so he will allow you to do certain things and then deal away with others that you're able to get, to deal away with at the moment until you get over that hump. So the very last year that I celebrated Christmas, I had a Christmas tree, And in the ceiling, I could see a face, a demonic face coming off of the Christmas tree. And so that last time I said no more. And I spoke to the kids and I said, this is going to be the last time we are even going to put up a Christmas tree in the house. The last time we are going to celebrate Christmas at all. So we don't celebrate Christmas at all. We don't put decorations up. We don't. Now I do know that there's the Feast of Lights during the month of December, but it's not for December 25th.
Right.
It's actually prior to that. It's at the beginning of the month. So, but we don't celebrate Christmas anymore. And now to us, when we show up at Walmart and see all these people go wild over, what we call decorations, getting somebody else rich with your money. We can feel things from people during the holidays for that reason. So the thing is, when you come up to these decisions and if you're having a hard time, staying on the narrow path, okay, replace it with something that is okay with until you can get over that hump and say, okay, because is going to tell you there will come a day that is going to say no more. This is the last time you're going to do this. I've given you more than enough time to fix it. And if you don't do what he says, he will release you and let you go about your business and go into the world again until you're ready to make that decision. But anyway.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's very good.
Yeah.
Well, hey, we're going to end this. I think I'm going to start another one. I think we'll start another live because I want to title it differently. I want to go into something in in one of the lost books. There's something in here in this book I want to show you guys. So let me end this live and I'm going to start another one and we'll be right back. To those who are going to check out, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat is over now, but thank you guys for checking in. Everybody else, look for me. I'm going to be right back.